What is this Bulls team, man? Like, seriously, no one can figure these guys out. Just when you think everything is down in the dumps, they bring you right back up again and give you a glimmer of hope that maybe they can turn things around. They're still far from it, from turning it around anyway. Like, this team is still 4 games below 500 and 10th in the Eastern Conference, but beating the Nets for the second time this season, snapping their 12-game winning streak. They're now 6-1 against the Bucks, Celtics, and the Nets so far this season. The 3 teams, the 3 best teams in the Eastern Conference. Something the Bulls struggled to do at all last season, losing to all of the top teams in the league last year. But then this season, they lose to teams like the Spurs, Thunder, Magic. They've blown big leads, lost in the final seconds. I don't know what to make of this team. I think a lot of it has to do with them still figuring out their identity. Like, it's a talented team when you look at the guys on the roster, but they're still figuring out who they are, what they stand for, and how they want to play the game. Kind of like, in a way, how the Nets struggled despite their immense talent until they found their identity more recently. The other thing, though, is the league is about matchups, and the Bulls match up very well against a team like the Brooklyn Nets that even dates back to last season. Now, I think we can all agree the Nets are a better team than the Bulls, objectively speaking, on paper, as well as where the teams stand in the standings. But like the Bulls, although this was more the case before they started going on their recent hot streak, but like the Bulls, the Nets don't have a big outside game. They don't take a lot of threes. They're 26th in the league in threes attempted, while the Bulls are last. They're more efficient than the Bulls are from deep, but even from a percentage standpoint, the Bulls are actually decent shooting the 3-ball. But also, like the Bulls, the Nets love operating in the mid-range and attacking the basket. I mean, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise considering Kevin Durant and DeMar DeRozan are arguably the 2 best mid-range players in basketball. And then you also have Zach and Kyrie Irving, who love driving and finishing at the rim with their quick first step. Obviously, Ben Simmons' game is all inside. Dude can't shoot to save his life. And also, like the Bulls, the Nets have pretty solid depth off the bench. So I know it might surprise some people to see the Bulls win tonight, but to be honest, I actually thought, if anything, this was a game the Bulls would likely win because of the bad losses that they should have won with those no calls in both games against the Cavs that enabled the Cavs to win the game. The fact that Brooklyn, although one of the hottest teams in the league, teams eventually get fatigued and start slipping up in games when they're on that long of a winning streak, but also just the fact that the Bulls historically have matched up well against this team. And the Bulls are also great at breaking winning streaks. That even dates back to the Tom Thibodeau era. I tweeted about it earlier today, more as a joke, that the Bulls are going to take out the Nets tonight because it would be just a very Bulls thing to do. And it kind of leads me to my point in all this after watching this win. What we need to see from this team is consistent effort. This team does not give consistent effort on a game-by-game basis. They play down to their competition. Some nights they looked energized and ready to go, and others they sometimes look like they don't want to be there. Like, this team has the talent to be really good. I'm not saying they have the talent to be title contenders, but they have the talent to be a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference. But their lack of identity, the fact that they're not consistent, and you never know what to expect from them on a game-by-game basis, is why you see them having the record that they do. I mean, yes, I know it's other things as well, the lack of shooting, not the best leadership, they get too focused on iso ball, stuff that we've talked about a lot in the past. But if this team can give consistent effort on a nightly basis, even if it results in a loss, they can turn their season around to where they can at least be a middle-tier team in the Eastern Conference rather than sitting at the bottom of the play-in or potentially even out of it entirely. I mean, we're almost at the halfway mark of the regular season. This is the time to get it together and start clicking. Basically, do the opposite of what the Bulls did last year. But anyway, let's talk about this game. So first and foremost, what I loved seeing was how the Bulls completely changed their approach on Kevin Durant in the second half. It was starting to look like KD was going to have another Donovan Mitchell night where he went into the locker room with close to 30 points and maybe was going to finish the game around 60. Still finished the game with 44 points on just crazy efficiency. That dude is just so good. But he wasn't as effective in the second half, and that's what the Bulls needed to do in limiting their best player in the second half and not getting easy buckets. Don't get me wrong, the Bulls almost blew this one. Their first half actually was overall better as a team. They just couldn't find an answer for Kevin Durant in the first half. The Bulls were up by as many as 18 points at one point in the second quarter. And the way the Nets came out in the third and cut the lead to 3, I believe, at one point, had you thinking, here we go again, same thing as the other night against the Cavs. But the Bulls kept their composure, they kept attacking the basket, playing high-level defense, and closed out the game without letting the refs decide the outcome. Can you tell I'm still a little bit bitter about that? I'm also bitter just because had the refs made those calls against the Cavs, the Bulls would be on a 5-game winning streak right now and sitting 500. Or if the Bulls also didn't drop the ball in that Rockets game, the Bulls would be on a 9-game winning streak. But hey, who's counting? But anyway, what I also love seeing from this game, balanced scoring. Balanced scoring among the whole team All of the starters were in double figures. Guys were sharing the ball. Everyone was getting touches. The bench scoring was great tonight as well. 26 points off the bench. The Bulls shot the ball well. 53% from the field, 40% from three. Still won this game and scored 121 points even though they only made 8 threes. Is pretty crazy. They crushed the Nets on the boards, out-rebounding them 46-34. And that's even without Drummond getting playing time tonight, which was a little weird, but whatever. Vucevic had a nice game, as did Derrick Jones Jr., and Drummond is still a little injured, so I guess it makes sense. Zach Lavine tonight only scored 13 points, only took 11 shot attempts, but it didn't matter. You didn't need Zach to go off in this one, and he finally was deferring to others and being selective about his shots. Dosunmu, 17 points, 7-14 shooting, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block, was great tonight in guarding Kyrie and also hitting some big shots in the fourth quarter. Vucevic, I mean, I don't know how many times I have to say this, and I also tweeted about it as well. How do the Bulls not utilize Vuce more in the post, especially when there are mismatches down low? I don't need to see Vucevic taking 5 or 6 threes a game. He's a high IQ player that has the ability to post up and use his footwork to get easy buckets, and that's what you saw tonight from the Bulls. Tonight, 21 points, 8 for 12, only took 3 threes, 13 rebounds, I should say, 3 assists, and 2 blocks. The Bulls' identity also has to be around Vucevic as a weapon down low and not just focusing so much on Lavine and DeMar as their main go-to scorers. And then how about Patrick Williams tonight? Seeing some big offensive output, 22 points, 6 for 8 shooting, was drawing contact, getting to the line, 7 for 7 from the line. But not only that, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. This was Patrick's best game so far this season. We always talk about how we need to see that leap from Pat for this team to really be successful. Get him the ball more touches is better for his overall development. He's gonna make mistakes, as you saw tonight. There were some bad fouls that he had, but that's how he's gonna learn, especially when going up against one of the best players in the world. And then of course, DeMar. I mean, DeMar by normal standards didn't really have the best game, 22 points, only shot 8 for 20, but he had the highest box plus minus at plus 13. And of course, he stepped up big in the fourth quarter, hitting those big shots to really seal the deal for the Bulls in the final minutes when it started to look like the Nets were making a little bit of a comeback. It's what he does best, and it's what makes him so lethal in the clutch. Anyway, very impressed with the Bulls' win in this one. Hopefully this is the type of win that can get their confidence back on track, especially with some of the tough games they have ahead, taking on the Sixers and Celtics on the road. But who knows, at this rate, the Bulls have been beating up on all the good teams. Maybe these wins will be easy for them. Do me a favor, guys, and hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.